Hello again, I'm Tripp Rogers, and this is Tripp's Take. I was on Facebook the other night, and actually the last week or so, and I keep seeing screenshots of old TV Guide pages. And I gotta tell you, that really brought back some memories for me because I was one of these guys who was really into TV. And when I would get the TV Guide, it would come in the mail, I would read it from cover to cover as a kid. And of course, the issue we all looked forward to was the fall preview issue because that would have everything about the new TV season. It was just after school started, so you knew what was going on, and it was kind of like, you would read it cover to cover, or I would. And I have a couple friends who did the same thing. And the thing about it is I ended up saving these TV guides. So I have them in a box, and I have them wrapped in plastic, actually. I'm one of those weirdos. But I have all this, and I have these TV guides from the 60s and the 70s, I know, because I had a subscription to TV Guide. I mean, listen, I had a subscription to TV Guide when I was a kid. But like I said, I read it all the time, and I really enjoyed it. And it was, like I said, I enjoyed reading it, and it gave me an insight. Now, I lived in New York, outside of New York City, so we had the New York edition. And TV Guide had different editions for different parts of the country. And the thing about the New York edition was it also covered Connecticut, because it had Connecticut TV stations up there. So I got all in northern New Jersey. So we would have all those stations. Now, back then, it was a simpler time. You had the 3 networks. And then in New York, you had 3 independent stations, 5, 9, and 11. You also had PBS Channel 13, and in New Jersey, you had a couple of UHF stations. And you know, it was funny because you had the listings for every station. Thing of it was, though, it was a couple weeks delayed, so sometimes there would be some changes and you wouldn't see it or it'd have the wrong listing for a show. But it was fascinating because you also had ads in there, talked about the shows and all the networks, pushed it. But it was a different day and time because I'll tell you, a successful television show got a 30 share, which meant 1 out of 3 TVs was watching that show. And if you didn't get that show was not going to succeed. Just for a difference today, if you look at the Nielsen ratings, I mean, I think a successful show gets a 7 or 8. I mean, it's just funny, but again, we have so many more channels at this time. But I want to go back to, again, I always look forward to TV Guide, and I always look forward to reading the articles, and I look forward to the fall preview issue because, again, it talked about every television show. And, of course, you realize some of them were not going to make it, but it was still a cool thing, and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that and a part of my childhood. Now, I've got a bunch of them from the 60s and 70s. My prized possession, I think, my grandmother gave it to me at some point in the 1970s. She had kept, TV Guide released a special issue, and it covered the JFK assassination coverage. And it was a TV Guide, and she kept that and gave it to me. And I've had that, and that's from 1964. And the other thing I wanted to talk about, TV Guide came into existence in 1953. It hadn't been around that long when I started, getting into it and following it. And it was just, again, that's one of the things, it brings back my childhood memories. And I'm seeing all these posts on Facebook and, they're posting pages of TV Guide. And one of the things that I thought was funny was Monday night, they posted the lineups because they used to print the lineups for the football teams. They would do it with baseball teams too, but they would print the lineups and they print the names, the numbers, and the position of all the players. So you could follow along. I mean, again, a different day and time. It really brought back a lot of memories. And that's what this time of year kind of reminds me of. Of course, now we are officially into fall. The other thing about this time of year, there's a couple of dates that kind of stand out in my personal history, my family history. September 23rd, 2008 was when my father passed away. And it's funny because One of the things about my father was he was a very independent person. And he went into assisted living just over a year to the day he passed away. And I always thought that coincidence was kind of unique. But again, knowing my father, being so independent, that made sense. And it's funny because, my sister is like my father, and she is very independent and does things on her own. And I love my sister to death. But the 23rd was one of those days. And then there's another day, September 29th, which we always remember. It's my mother's birthday. She would have been 95 this year. She passed away. It'll be 20 years that she passed away this December. But I always thought it was funny, and it's one of those coincidences. My father's birthday was April 29th, and my mother's birthday was September 29th. And I just always thought that was just one of those weird kind of things that, our family had in common. My sister and I were separated by day, 22nd, 23rd. That would have been so weird if we were both born on the same day, 22nd or 23rd, either or. Although I think I was late and she was early. So, but yeah, that's right. I 22nd. So just kind of one of those funny things that you talk about, and family stuff. You know what I'm talking about. That's going to do it for Tripp's Take for September the 26th, 2024. Love to hear your comments and questions about Tripp's Take. Feel free to email me, trippstake@gmail.com. Fantasy football players, oh boy, you're having a struggle? Listen. The Hall of Famer Mike Sheck is 3-0 in the Sultans League and 3-0 in the Rat League. So the Hall of Famer knows what he's talking about. And he joins me with the Fantasy Sultans. You can find it at Spotify for podcasters and YouTube. Just search for the Fantasy Sultans and we'll help you win in fantasy football. Also, don't forget, we're on the radio in New Jersey, Fox Sports New Jersey and Fox Sports Jersey Shore. Sunday with the Sultans airs at noon on Sundays. And if you like the music of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, give a listen to WTRSradio.com. I think you're going to enjoy it too. I'm Tripp Rogers. Thank you very much for joining me. Make it a great one.